Hello and welcome to another A Tippling Philosopher video. This one is just a quick political rant, and it is more pertinent to the British viewer, but it is relevant to America as well, given that the political system in America is rife with lobbying. Here's a bit of a context for you. My partner is a business manager at a small primary school. Whenever she has to spend money, over £3,000, and in fact she almost always does it for under that, for example for ordering coaches for school trips, she will, as according to the rules, tender for the business. So she has to get three prices and either choose the lowest one or provide good reason why she doesn't choose the lowest price. And that's spending over £3,000 and often under. I am so angry. I am so angry with our government at the moment. They are overtly corrupt and they are presently going through a sleaze scandal. They do not deserve to be in government. I am appalled that Owen Paterson, who was effectively lobbying, in fact he's just had to resign due to the fact that he was, in breach of ministerial rules. He was getting, I think, £100,000 a year for a particular company on whose behalf he did some work as an MP in a way that was not part of the rules. So, questioning or bringing things up in Parliament or using his power to benefit that company. Anyway, in a closed process where the minutes from the meetings there are no minutes, the government gave a £600 million contract to that company in an untendered process. A process that the army had to step in to help because the free market couldn't deliver what they promised. So a £600 million contract or set of contracts that was underwritten by the taxpayer because the army had to step in and help out anyway. Outrageous. So my partner has to get three different prices for tendering for work that costs over £3,000, and the central government has, in an untendered private process, given £600 million worth of contracts to a single company who were paying one of the MPs to lobby on their behalf. I am so angry with this government. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I could bore you with huge amounts of details on what has been going on, particularly since COVID. And when Matt Hancock was the health minister, the contracts going out to these PPE companies and companies that weren't even properly PPE companies. I think Matt Hancock's neighbour started up a company and got a contract straight away. Just unbelievable. And right at the beginning of the lockdown in Britain, one of the problems was the Cheltenham horse racing festival. It's a huge do every year, went ahead with, I think, 250,000 people attending there. And they had a choice whether to do the lockdown just before that or after it. And they chose to keep that going and do it after it. It's clearly a super spreader event. And the reason why is because all the Tory donors, Matt Hancock himself I think, involved in the horse racing industry. They were under a lot of pressure to keep that event going, so they acted against advice, safety advice and guidelines, and the super spreader event went ahead because it was lining their pockets as government ministers. I am so angry with this government. I can't believe why this sort of stuff is not on everyone's lips, why every news organisation is talking about it. And part of the problem is the BBC, as neutral and as objective as they are, in relation to pretty much all other news organisations in the world, they feel, I'm sure, that if they criticise this present government, the government will defund them and take away the TV licence because they're a public service broadcaster. And the present Tory Conservative government have been threatening to basically privatise them or change them completely, and they're afraid to criticise. Boris Johnson gets a free pass on pretty much everything, and he's the most corrupt, worst leader this country has had, I think, pretty much ever, or certainly in living memory. He's just a bumbling idiot, and the levels of sleaze and corruption that are taking place in this government are phenomenal, and it comes from the top. Boris Johnson had a chance to stamp this out, and instead they circled the wagons and defended Owen Paterson, who was effectively illegally lobbying. And that's showing poor leadership and poor moral fibre. Terrible. I can't believe £600 million in a closed, untendered process. Just, to a company where one of the lobbyists is a Tory minister. It's not on. So this government has to go. And it won't. It won't, because the opposition isn't strong enough, and because the entire messaging of the media landscape is controlled by the right. You have The Guardian and The Mirror as the only two leftist news print organisations, and their readership is tiny compared to all the others: the Daily Mail, the Daily Express, the Daily Telegraph, the Times, the Metro, the Evening Standard, the Spectator, the list goes on. So the left are never going to, and that's not talking about TV media. So now you've got GB News pumping out stuff for the right, insidiously, or actually overtly, and the BBC really pretty impotent, and Sky News broadly centre right. So there is no chance for the left to level the playing field. There's no chance for the left to get their message out there because they have no outlets. It's just a really unfair political landscape, and so I can't see, now that Labour have lost Scotland to the SNP, I can't see that Labour getting a clear majority for a long time, if ever. Anyway, just a little political rant, might or might not be interesting to you lot out there, as a little insight into my mind. As ever, question everything. Thanks for dropping by, and stay safe.